What's up, everybody, and welcome to Futures Trading with NinjaTrader. You can go ahead and check them out at NinjaTrader.com, but let's go ahead and get our intro going here in a minute. I want to welcome you from live trading. It's always fun to have the gang here, but now we get into some futures action. What is up? Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. Welcome back. What are we looking at here, Jim?
You know, I fell in love in a hopeless place right here. I'm short two E-mini S&Ps right here in the E-mini S&P stock index futures market. Right at that point of control was where my right above, it actually moved the point of control right where my entry is. Two contracts. I have a really tight stop above an old area. I have a rectangle here identifying an old area of resistance, and then I have a couple of targets. Remember, it's a 2-unit trade, so I want to get out of 1-unit trade at 37.01.5 at that 50% retracement. And the second unit I want to get at the 61.8% retracement down at 36.94.5. We got to penetrate this VWAP though, and it's not looking good. This is looking like I'm going to get stopped out, but I came up with a trade plan and I'm going to let it roll.
Yeah. And see, I'm so rude. I didn't even ask you how you were, mainly because one, we just talked for 10 minutes before we came live, but two, because I knew you were on a trade and I wanted to get that going. But how was your weekend though?
It was good, man. It was good. Nice and relaxing, beautiful weather. You know, we're bracing for a hurricane that's supposed to sweep up here. We're going to get a little residual effect here in South Carolina. How about you?
Good weekend. Thankfully, I've got a trip out to LA later on, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I don't have to deal with the hurricane. I'm looking to get out before that. But it looks like you've got a short position. You kind of already talked about it. And are you looking when it breaks the VWAP, which is blue on your line? Are you going to try to go ahead and add, or it says like, nope, my thesis is working. No need to be greedy. Takes them out at 37.0150s, and I'm sure you'll move your stop up and break even. I know that's something you like to do as well.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it, man. You don't even need me anymore. You can totally do this on your own. This is right. So this target, if this target gets hit, it's a big if. We got a ways to go. Then the stop loss, because basically we'll take 1 unit off the table, right? We'll have one profitable unit. By the way, real-time simulated live platform right now.
Yep.
We'll have 1 unit off in our pocket, right? We'll have 1 unit in our pocket. Then the stop becomes a one last stop, and I'll bring it down to 37.10, just a couple ticks below my original entry. And that way I could let that second unit ride. And we could have, we have less stress, right? We got 1 in our pocket. We're moving our stop to break even. We'll deal with slippage and all that stuff. Hopefully we'll come out okay on that. Otherwise, we'll get that second unit and everyone will be happy.
Of course, and yeah, like you said, just to remind everybody, the information you're seeing is real time. The account itself is simulated, so it is not real money, but the information that you are seeing is real time as SPY's moving a little bit to the upside here. Let's go ahead and take a look at I think you traded in the morning, MGC. I've seen that from the top hand side. What is that? What was the trade? Walk us through that.
Yeah, great observation. This is micro gold. This is the gold. This is gold. This is gold futures, and gold has been kind of tracking the U.S. dollar strength, right? So as the U.S. dollar is strong overall, gold has been breaking, right? We're at 1650-ish, give or take, right now as we speak. So I'm bearish on gold. U.S. dollar is looking really, really strong still across all the major currency pairs. By the way, you can see them on my quote board over here: Swiss franc, euro, yen, Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar, British pound, Mexican peso, New Zealand. They're all negative versus the US dollar. So this is tracking inversely. You know, a lot of people just say, well, I'm just going to track it versus the euro. You can as well, but that's kind of a proxy. But so we ended up earlier this morning in our early morning broadcast at the opening range, we ended up getting shorted 1653.8, just one unit. And at the time it was at the top of the value area. And again, I use this rectangle here, this little area of resistance as my guideline, as my entry. And sure enough, we got short right at the bottom of that rectangle. And then, things just started going our way slowly but surely. So at this point in time, my target is right above previous session, Friday's lows. That's that red line right there. I want to see if we can get to the lows from the previous day. Again, I'm bearish, so it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point here, once we break down a little bit further, I will move my stop to break even, and I'll show you what I mean by that real quickly. So again, my rectangle here, I'm going to line it up with the bottom of the lowest candle. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see it okay. And contemporary candle still in place, so I'm not messing with that with the rectangle. We haven't closed in this rectangle since, what time is this? 8:40 to 8:50, long time ago. Really nice area of support. Once we have a candle close in there, then I'll move my stop to break even.
And let's go ahead and look back at your ES trade, because it's like that one just went deeply in your favor there on those contracts. And I'm interested to see how far away we are from your. Oh, we're barely so close. We're about 5 points away from your limit to be hit.
Yeah, so the VWAP is key now, right? I mean, me and you talk about VWAP all the time. I know you're a friend, volume weighted average price. I know you're a fan of it, as I am as well. We're sitting on it right now, waiting to see if we can get some velocity to the downside. And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Another strategy, if depending on your risk reward style. Now, going into this trade, I didn't make this statement, so I'm not going to do it right now. But anytime you're up a decent amount on a trade and you're still not filled on the profit target, it's okay to trail your stop. It's okay to trail your stop. I'm not doing it because I didn't go into it with that mindset that I was going to end up trading a stop. I said, okay, I'm going to be patient and wait. And patience is also really, really important.
Yeah, because we talked about it so many times. For me, I'm like, yeah, it's 4 points away, and what's $100? I'll just go ahead and take the gains right now. But to me, if it's below VWAP, typically you do see a little bit of movement to the downside. You'll see consolidation and then a move to the downside. So we'll see what ends up happening, because now I want to cover a little bit of Bitcoin action if we can on the future side, and we'll get to corn and copper here in a minute as well. But looking at Bitcoin here, we're right back below the $20,000 level.
Yeah, almost sitting on top of the $19,000 level. So this was really strongly correlated with the NASDAQ before, not so much anymore. It went below that 50% correlation. It changes over time, which is interesting to me. So yeah, we're below that 1900 right now. I'm open-minded on this market right now. It's looking similar though to the ES, right? It's looking similar to the ES in terms of its what it's doing right now. We tried to double top almost, if you use your imagination, around 19,270, and then we're tracing back down pretty nicely right now. I expect kind of a normal distribution day here, and let me just draw a fib line to tell you what I mean by that. Even though the volume profile is kind of funky,
yeah,
I'm going to trademark that, the funky volume profile. We could do it together. well, trademark. So, again, I expect us to get a regular retracement back here, but, I don't know that we're going to break the pivot anytime soon. I think we're going to be in this kind of area today, going sideways a little bit, and you could track it. We're up a little bit. We're green on the Bitcoin right now. So sideways is, I think, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Not so eloquently.
So no trade for you here, though, because there's no real push to the upside or downside, just consolidation. No trade that you want to put on here?
Yeah, I mean, not at the moment. If I was paying attention, I would have saw this double top and maybe tried to, again, try to get involved up here on the short side, but we didn't. We have this really nice kind of, I don't know, almost 74% retracement down at the bottom. The pivot's kind of an interesting level as well. So again, I would play both sides. I would try to get long at the bottom of the value area, the pivot, 61.8% in that area. And then alternatively, hey, let's try to get short if we kind of drive back up above that 23.6. So I think it's range bound.
I'm looking to kind of hop back and forth because I want to go back to the ES now if we can, because it looks like one of your targets did hit. And so that trade worked out really well for you. And now looks like you're going to move your stop there. Yep, there it goes. You're 15 points in the money on that short.
Yeah. So, and again, my average price was around 10, right? So I moved my stop down to break even for a couple ticks. We have a really big dominant candle. So we have a doji at the top. This is a turnaround doji, in my opinion. When you see a long rally up, and then you see a turnaround doji where the body is either the exact same, it's either this exact same price, the open and close of the bar, or it's close enough for government work, and then a wick on top, wick on bottom. This is textbook. You see that that's a reversal pattern. You don't know for sure until this candle is closed, right? This candle is your confirmation candle after the doji, and then big, we got a little bit lucky here, but big sell off, pause, and continuation selling as well on the downside. So that was a good reversal pattern right now. our downside, to see if we missed it by a tick,
I was
probably.
gonna say, yeah, it was so close. What
One,
was the low on that?
one tick, one tick. Now,
No.
yeah. It was 75. So it was 94.75 low on the actual contemporary candle that's moving around. But this is a lesson learned, because most traders are going to want to move their target to get out, right?
Yeah, I
It's like,
would.
ah, shoot, I missed it. I'm going to move it.
Yeah.
In my humble experience, that's not best practices. Be patient, let it come to you. You're gonna take some stuff off the table. If you're really worried about it, trail your stop to the VWAP in this case. Let it ride.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's usually a mistake to start. You have a game plan, right? We came in with the game plan. We're going to stick to our game plan, and then afterward, we're going to analyze it and say, "Hey, was our second target in the right spot?" And then we could kind of do some homework and say, maybe it wasn't in the right spot. Maybe it was in the right spot. Well, maybe it should have been a little higher. So we could do that kind of analysis after the fact. But generally, you start out with your game plan. Boom, be patient. I mean, your emotions are killing us.
Yeah,
You know
no, for
what I
sure. I
mean?
mean, that's why algos make more money than I do, you know? But my game plan is going to be that if the SPY comes back, or if the futures come back to the 37.05 area, just because of the risk reward there, I'd be looking to go short. Because right now, I feel like we're kind of like in no man's land, right? We're not at the low of day. We're not near VWAP. We're just kind of in the middle, and it's the risk reward for me here isn't worth it, which is why for you, it's like, hey, you've already got 15 points of the money. But if it comes back to VWAP, that'd be something that I'd take a look at to go short off of. But let's go ahead and take a look at copper. We took a look at gold. We took a look at what's up.
Hang on. I love your observation. So just to kind of graphically show what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
So if the market retraces to the VWAP up here,
Yeah.
then and this is I like this. You would go ahead and try to sell another unit, or a
Mhm.
unit in your
Yeah.
case, right?
Yeah.
Now my only thing is, if this is, I like it, I think it's reasonable, but then I would kind of I would move my stop back up to the top of the rectangle, and I would change it to a 2 lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I would that's an interesting, that's a good play. I like it. I didn't see
Yeah.
that. I like it. I like it.
Let's where is your volume profile? I know typically you have that on, right? Yeah, there it is. Okay,
Well,
perfect. I wanted to see the point of control there. Okay, it's a little bit higher than that. Because now to me, if that golden bar was near VWAP, would that be like a double? I don't want to say double confirmation, but would that be an added information to a thesis to go short? Because like, hey, here's where the most transactions take place, and you've got VWAP there as well. Could be a good place to go short. You know, like more reasons to go short, I guess.
Yeah, so more areas of interest, the better. I just call them areas of interest. So point of control is
A
an area
lot
of
easier,
interest.
yeah.
38.2 is the area of interest. If VWAP was up here, it would be like a triple whammy, man. I mean, three things right there,
Yeah.
giving me more confirmation it's a good trade idea. For sure. I'm 100% with you on that one.
Yeah, because if we had the fib at the 50 or the 38.20, and if we had the golden bar, and if we had VWAP, I mean that could be a lot of resistance the market would have to go through to break to the upside. But all right, let's move on. Let's go ahead and talk about copper, because we talked about gold, we talked about ES, and we talked about Bitcoin as well. Let's see what we've got going on in copper, and then we'll cover
Yeah.
oil as well, because I know that's been moving.
Yeah, copper real quick just broke through a really critical level here. And this is, again, China, Chile, that's the story. Transportation, supply chain, all that stuff is I mean, that's the answer. That's the story in copper. Right now we had this triangle, right? I had this triangle that kind of converged to a point. And then when we did finally break out of the triangle, we broke out big time on the downside. In
Yeah.
addition, we crushed the area support rectangle that I had. And again, continuation selling as well. You know, again, I'm bearish here, and this is what happened on a daily chart in copper right now. So, and this is kind of, they call it Dr. Copper for a reason. They call it Dr. Copper for a reason. So we'll see if it continues. The judge of economic strength in the world. Nice kind of pattern though. Point of control is a little bit lower here. Huge dominant benchmark candle here in the European Open, 3 to 310.
Yeah.
Buyers came in pretty strong, and we've kind of oscillated all over the place. This point of control is a destination for this market. I expect to see 31.90 today again.
Yeah. Would you end up, let's say here, would you end up putting a position anywhere here? Or is it just like, hey, you want to see a little bit more movement? Because on the daily, you said, hey, it broke out below.
Yeah, so which is bearish, right? So I'm going to put my fib low to high. Fibonacci line is low to high right now. And I'm going to see where we traced up to. And forget about the noise in the middle for a second. I'm going to forget about that. And we're right at that 38.2. right? That's an important key fib line.
Yeah.
23.6 is a long time ago, and we're going down. So the trade idea would certainly include something like that around, that 38.2% if you were pretty aggressive. If you're conservative, wait for that 23.6 with anticipation of this going back to that point of control later today. So, you could always split the difference and those kind of things. But I like using the fib lines. I think they're pretty decent. So just to kind of look, just to show you what it would look like, I'm going to use the chart trader here. That would be in order. I'm trying to get short here. Let me move this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. That would be, again, trying to sell and a move back up, retracement back up over that, right at that 38. I'm going to make it even tighter. I'm going to make it tighter. There we go. We just got it tight. So we're going to, wait and see if we get it. Again, nice momentum not to the downside as we drive back to that point of control. That would be that's what I'm thinking right now.
Got it. Now we'll keep an eye on that one as like we do your other trades that are going on right now as well. One unit on the copper side, or excuse me, the gold side, and also the ES. Let's go ahead and take a dive into oil. That's been a move. That's been a name that's been moving as well.
Yeah, this is WTI, West Texas Intermediary Crude, traded at CME Group. We tested that 80 level, that 80 handle, and it was rejected. This is, again, bear market. I think we're in a bear market here in crude oil. I think there's more room on the downside from an overall trend point of view. So keeping that in mind, again, looking for places to sell here today. And this was a nice rally, though, to be honest with you. I was a little bit worried about it this morning, but let's kind of just see where we're at on a fib retracement level. Real similar to the last market we just looked at, right? Yeah. But we're 38 is here. It's right at the shelf, right? And go over the volume profile. There's a shelf here, right? There's a lot of volume at 79.09, but then there's a little bit of a divot here. And a lot of times this does fill in. These divots do fill in a lot of times. Point of control is pretty high right here, but we have a competing point of control way down here at 78.30. We start accumulating a little bit of volume down there. That becomes the winner, right? So right now I'd probably sit on my hands because of the divot getting filled in and because of the point of control still being up here. I'd probably wait a little bit.
Now, let me ask you this. When we go to the different types of crude oil futures, right? Is it really that big of a difference between them, or is it just like, no, not really?
I mean, they all kind of move. They're all correlated, highly correlated, right? The three big ones are Dubai, sour crude. You have Brent, which is North Sea. That's a light crude. And WTI, that's a light crude. Those are the three benchmarks, although depending on which textbook you read, there's other benchmarks, but those are three big ones. They all are pretty much correlated. This is a global marketplace. It's just that their chemistry is a little different, and it requires different refinery types to deal with them to make the products that we all want.
Yeah. Well, you've got more downside on the ES. So let's go back to the ES, and I want to actually look at the daily on that if we can.
Yes, sir.
Folks online, folks on the lovely Twitter are talking about how we've tested the June lows, which on, we can look at your, there you go. That's a daily. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. And it looks like, on the futures, we have tested the low. Here's a question.
Yeah.
You've got the futures, you've got SPX, and you've got SPY, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one leads as the others follow, right? So like which one says, hey, I'm going to go up first and the others kind of follow, or is there really no correlation? I mean, I know there's correlation, but like, you see what I'm saying? It's like what leads.
Yeah, so I'm biased, right? So I'm a futures guy. I'm biased. I think it's futures, and I think there's a couple of reasons why, right? It's a 24-hour marketplace with one destination. There's one Globex server, or not one Globex server, but there's the Globex trading system at the CME Group that matches buyers and sellers 23 hours a day. In the underlying equity world, you have regular trading hours, you have after hours, you could route your orders to different places. It's a tough call. It really is. But especially in the evening or when the European session opens up, I'm going to go with futures as leading the way.
Okay. Gotcha. That's what I was curious. Only because I love my whole numbers and this, that, the other, but it's like sometimes I'll look at the SPY, respects the whole number, but the futures, it goes a little above this and that. But I guess that's where it's kind of like we said before, support and resistance aren't just levels. They're areas of interest that we want to take a look at. Kind of like the rectangle that you have drawn at the
Yeah.
June lows, right? And
Yeah.
obviously, I think it worked out maybe perfectly to the tick, but if not, it's kind of like an area that you want to go
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
What do you think
Pretty.
here? You think we get a bear market type bounce here, or do you think we kind of crack below?
I think Pitbull and Keisha said it right. I think they know it's going down. I'm yelling timber. You better move. You better dance. This is
That was not
expert.
on my bingo sheet for today.
I think I think psychologically this thing has to kind of break down a little bit just to say we made new lows. But look at my cheat sheet here. CPI isn't until it seems like forever from now, right? 10-14. That's the next big thing. Then
Yeah.
after that, FOMC is forever plus a couple weeks, right? November 1st, midterm election, CPI, FOMC, and with the dot plot saying, "Hey, we're going to be end of year Fed funds is going to be 425 to 450." So I put this on here on purpose for me to kind of anticipate or think about market reaction. Look what happened. Jackson Hole, big sell off. CPI number came out, big sell off. FOMC, big sell off. Powell spoke on Friday, big sell off. These are all negative. Is it going to change at CPI? I don't know, but this is where all eyes should be trained right here.
Yeah, we could possibly see some consolidation or a little bit of movement to maybe the 2900s this time or whatever the case may be. We can check that out. But let's go ahead and you've got the tip of the day ready?
Sure do.
All right, let's go ahead and get that going.
All right. By the way, I had to.
You're out.
I canceled my
Yeah,
other trade. I'm out. Trade idea worked. We didn't
that's
move
awesome,
our.
dude. Nice trade.
Thank you. We didn't move our target. Right. We use patience. That's the number one thing. Sorry. Tip of the day. It's so timely with the daily chart we just saw. It can't go any lower. I have that crossed out. Cognitive bias. We all have cognitive bias, and it's belief perseverance, which kind of takes over our head, saying, "Hey, equity markets always go up. Can't go any lower. This is corporate America. I'm going to start buying." Right. That is out. That's in our heads. It's in our heads. It's not on a chart. So keep that in mind. It's a big deal. It could go lower. It might not. It could go higher. It could go lower. It could go sideways. But one more person says it can't go any lower, I am going to tip my table over.
It's interesting you mentioned that because during the COVID pandemic, I was in stocks because I was trading back then, but I was obviously not as good as I am today. Um, and I would just be like, "Oh, it can't go any lower." Like it's Disney, it can't go any lower. I remember taking a trip to Chipotle. I was down a few $1,000s. Let's just call it $2,000 on a trade. And this is when I was like over leveraged. I was panicking, whatever. And I was in Disney. I went to Chipotle to take a break, just get my mind right. From the time that I checked the price on my way to Chipotle and I came back, I was down another $6,000. And it was just like, bro. And of course, that's because I had margin. I was over leveraged and this and that. But like COVID was because, I wasn't trading in 2008. COVID was like my first real reality check on market, take it, market, give it type situation. And it was not fun. So I completely agree with you that it's like, don't think a stock can't go lower to the point where oil went negative. You know what I mean? Like that was just 6 months ago, I think, or something, whatever the time frame was. Oil went negative and people were like, "Oh, I can't go lower than whatever." Fun fact, even pennies can go lower because they just do a reverse split and then take it down even more. So completely agree with that thesis there, man. It was tough times for sure.
Yeah.
But you've got your target out on that. Now, what's your next move, do you think, on the ES?
All right. So a couple of things that are really important here. I have the opening range highlighted here. You see this like black little hash mark right here?
You like the 15 or 30 minute? What do you like? I use a 30 minute, but I want to know what you like.
10-minute.
10 minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because typically it started out when we when we did the opening range show, it was an hour long. And
Okay.
I want to match up my time frame for a trade idea with my analysis. Where's support and resistance likely going to stay in the next hour? And over time, I just kind of got some muscle memory with it and really like it. So I would probably always use it. Again, my time horizon is I multiply by 6. 10 minutes times 6, hour max. Maybe the trade lasts a minute. Maybe it lasts 60 minutes. That's kind of my expectation. If I was using a 30-minute, I'd be like, all right, here's the support and resistance on a 30-minute, multiply it by 6. This is going to be maybe up to 3 hours in this trade.
Yeah.
That's just general kind of thing right now. But on the opening range here, right? So this is the lower end of the opening range where we started the first half hour of trading for regular trading hours. We were at 36.88. We're touching it right now. And then the high was 37.14. And there's a high probability statistically that since we've closed above the high of the opening range, we will end up there at the end of the day. It's kind of a statistical thing. Now, anything could happen. We have Fed. It's Fed Palooza week, by the way.
Wait, say that last part again.
So since we closed above the opening range,
right,
before we closed below the bottom of the opening range, there's a higher probability, a much higher probability that by the end of the day, we are going to close above that opening range.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work out every time, guys.
Of course,
it doesn't work every time, but
it would be filthy rich. Yeah.
Right, for sure. So keep that in mind. Even as again, this is going to oscillate up and down all day, and this might be
so
actually
it's the 10-minute, right? You're saying the 10-minute candle, if it closes above the opening range, below it before it closes below the bottom range, probability wise, from your experience, we go back to the upside. Yeah, the reason I asked is because we're testing low of day. So it's like, hey, if that is going to be true in this case, which of course none of us are saying at the moment that it is, but if that is to be believed, and if you feel like the odds are in your favor, we could possibly be looking at a live double bottom being formed. That's why I'm kind of harping on it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it doesn't matter if you use a 10, 15-minute, 5-minute, whatever. The opening range is the first 30 minutes. So those two lines are going to be the same no matter what time frame you're looking at. And the analysis should be the same also. So yeah, right now we're trying to break on through, and we have a low here from early morning. We have another low here from early morning still, but not quite as early. And we're kind of driving back down, and we have the double bottom on a daily chart. So I would wait to see some concrete area of support before I started buying something right now. We have a whole series of lower lows, whole series of lower highs. Trend is down right now. I'd be patient.
Yeah, I'm going to call my grandma and tell her to go long spy right after we hop off of this call. Thank you for the tip there, Jim. Again, I'll give everyone your email address. But no, definitely, we got a couple of minutes here, but I do want to remind the folks, you'll see the bottom scrolling as well, that you guys can check out Jim and his partner at ninjatrader.com/events. They have a show every morning. And you've also got a show coming up later on today called Bars Closing. Is that right?
Yep, it's a bookend show, right? We do the open, we do the close, we look for trade ideas, we talk about, and it's kind of an open forum like we're doing right now. People could, type in questions, comments, observations. It's a lot of fun. It's free. It's easy to participate. We're not asking for email addresses. Just type in a handle, make something cool up, and get involved.
I love it. Well, you've got to bounce a little bit, just a little tiny bounce coming. I'm just interested now to see. I'm going to keep that theory in mind, because that's definitely interesting to think about.
So the trick is here, this might be better on a micro trade too, because you do have this bottom here that, so a lot of times it gets tested, right? A lot of times it gets tested, and you can be directionally right later on that too. So, you could do a multi-target, multi-unit micro trade if you're, depending on what your account size is another thing. I would wait for this bar to complete though and see what the next bar brings. The moving average cross is starting to cross under. I have a fast EMA crossing under a slow EMA, and then CCI is slowly but surely getting to that -100 level. So I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet and start buying this just yet.
And that's why people love futures, because there is no theta to worry about. There's no time decay to worry about versus, like, say, your options, where it's like, hey, you were directionally correct, but your timing sucked, as we are going to new lows on the SPY. But that's why, I'm just waiting for Benzinga to be like, hey, Zunaid, here's some cash to go ahead and play futures. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, they should do it. If you need like a reference, if you get a reference letter, I'll give you a reference letter.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go ahead and I'll CC you on it. Jason at benzinga.com will make that happen. But thank you so much again. That is Jim Cagnina, Senior Education and Training Specialist over at NinjaTrader. Check out their platform. It's sleek. It's cool. I love the fact that you can move your limit and stops through an arrow. You don't have to cancel and punch in a number. You can just look at the charts and perfectly place your trade. trades there. But thank you so much, Jim. Make sure you check them out later on today for bars closing at ninjatrader.com/events. Jim, we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you, sir.
See you, pal. Bye.